Hey guys, Ruminating Reaper here. So, it's November. I cannot believe we're at November already. But yeah, I'm about to head into the cinema. I'm about to head in to go hunting. Yes, I'm about to head in to see Predator Badlands. Really looking forward to this. The last few Predator films have been awesome. And so this being its big return to the big screen, I've got my fingers crossed that they will deliver something really, really good. Keep the franchise's hot streak going. But, you know, I've got my fingers crossed for that, but the only way to find out if it'll actually deliver is to head in, get some snacks, and get seated for Predator Badlands. So I've got my popcorn here and a mixed frozen Fanta, ready for the Predator franchise's return to the big screen. So, Predator Badlands. I'm back from seeing it. This is directed by Dan Trachtenberg, a Predator franchise veteran at this point, having directed both Prey and this year's animated offering, Killer of Killers, both of which are really good films. So obviously with that winning streak, I was really looking forward to seeing what he would bring to this, especially since it had the really novel hook of the Predator itself being the lead this time around. And obviously this is a really, really interesting direction to take the franchise in. And so obviously if there's anybody in the world who could pull off this bold narrative shift, obviously Trachtenberg surely would be the man for the job. But does Trachtenberg deliver on this exciting new direction and the franchise's newfound hot streak? Let's find out. So the film follows Dak, a young Yautja cast out by his clan for his apparent weakness. So he sets out to prove his worth by hunting an unkillable creature that has eluded even his father to bring back as a trophy. Along the way, Dak finds himself an unexpected ally in the form of damaged android Thea. However, the pair quickly discover that the creatures inhabiting this planet aren't the most dangerous things on their hunt. You know, it's nice to feel hopeful about the Predator franchise again, especially since Trachtenberg is so clearly coming from the place of making the kinds of films he, as a fan, wants to see, having delivered two absolute banger entries. And well, I have to say now that 1-2 punch is officially over. Because he's only gone and made it a goddamn hat trick. Yeah, this film is really fucking good. So what I enjoyed most about Badlands is just how interesting an expansion it is to the franchise, taking the previously established lore and mythos and taking them in interesting new directions and adding compelling new layers. Particularly as we learn a lot more about the Yautja, you know, about their culture and their sort of virtues as warriors and hunters, and even giving them a whole new language. All that stuff is really, really interesting. Also, we have all these new planets with new creatures and, you know, compelling new food chains. And we even, as the marketing rather excitedly confirmed, we have the existence of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation from the Alien franchise. But it's not done in a way that feels cheap or, you know, shamelessly trying to set up a future crossover event. Instead, it feels very much in service of the film's familiar but well-delivered messages of, you know, searching for that sense of belonging. And what I think really sells it is the very strong characterization that drives its narrative. Because obviously at the core of it we have our two leads, Dak and Thea. Dak setting out to kill the creature that has eluded his clan and prove his worth, while Thea, you know, sets out to, you know, prove that she can be more than her program directive. They're sort of, different paths but mutual goals, making for a really interesting through line. Very much an interesting fusion of a coming of age tale and an odd couple buddy comedy with their sort of contrasting personalities, delivering sincere emotional beats and very funny comedic ones as well, driven by some really genuine character development that really keeps us invested in this pair. And what I think really makes it work is, the fantastic performances from the two of them. Obviously, we have Demetrius Schuster Koloa Matangi as Dak, and obviously because he's under layers of prosthetics to play the Yautja, he has to really sell these emotions through his physicality and body language, and he absolutely crushes it. He gives off this very, this demeanor of stoicism and battle readiness, but it's coming from a deeply vulnerable place of wanting to prove himself, and you can really see that vulnerability in his facial acting. He absolutely crushes it. He really makes Dak a very likable and sympathetic hunter worth rooting for. We also have Elle Fanning as Thea, who's of course a Wayland Yutani synth, wanting to prove that she is more than she is programmed for, and she does a fantastic job, bringing the sort of humor from her very talkative nature, contrasting Dak's quite stoic personality. But also, she brings these quite genuine moments of warmth as the two bond over this unlikely hunt. Fanning also plays another character, Tessa, who's another Wayland Yutani synth and Thea's sister, and she really does a fantastic job selling the contrast in personalities between the two siblings. Yeah, she is great. But of course, what you're here for is the spectacle, and the film delivers it in spades. Obviously, the film captures this, harsh alien planet with such a sense of scale, bringing to life these jagged mountainous landscapes and lush woodlands. It is an absolute feast for the eyes. And of course, we have some very interesting creature designs in here as well. Some of it leans towards a more of a sense of whimsy that feels more fitting of Star Wars than Predator, but a lot of there's some really interesting creativity and diversity in these creatures that really makes this planet feel alive and thriving. And there's some fantastic sound design in here, particularly as we see these bigger ones roar, and you can just really feel it in your seat. Yeah, so it's well worth seeing on the big screen for that alone. We also have a great score from Sarah Schachner and Benjamin Wallfish, which obviously very much enhances the sweeping scale of its central adventure, but also does a great job, bringing a very unique sound that very much fits its, alien setting and the Yautja culture. It's great, and also serves to enhance the hype moments in the action. And talking of action, yeah, it delivers the goods. You know, Obviously, Trachtenberg is a very assured hand for this franchise at this point, and he directs the Yautja action scenes with such a sense of energy, giving these creatures a muscular sense of physicality and agility, bringing in these really interesting laser weapons like swords and shields and even laser bow and arrow. Yeah, shit, man. It's shit like this. It just makes me feel like a giddy kid again, getting me all hyped up, and you know, it absolutely cooks. But despite the lower rating as well, this has obviously been much of a subject of discourse. PG-13 rating. Over here in the UK, it got a 12. But despite that, it does not pull its punches in the slightest. It very much pushes the rating. Because all these moments, creatures being cut in half and like heads and limbs being cut off and being exploded from within, all of it is brutal and gnarly, but because none of it is human blood, all of it's alien creatures and Wayland Yutani synths, which all have different colored blood. They can push the violence as far as they can, and oh boy, do they deliver. It is great, great stuff. And of course, it all builds to a very, very interesting finale that delivers all the muscular action spectacle that you could hope for, but also some surprisingly hard hitting emotional moments. Genuinely, I was not expecting to feel emotional at the end of a goddamn Predator film, but Trachtenberg has pulled it off. And all these, the spectacle and the heart very much feel of a piece as it drives, Deck and Thea's, arcs to prove their worth really to a very compelling head. And honestly, with the way it leaves off, I look forward to seeing more of the pair of them in future entries. Overall, Predator Badlands is a compelling and surprisingly resonant expansion to the franchise that delivers all the thrilling spectacle you could hope for with a real sense of heart to it. Out of 10, Predator Badlands gets an 8. So, let me know down in the comments, have you seen Predator Badlands? What did you think of it? Are you looking forward to what Trachtenberg has in store next for the franchise? Are you looking forward to the inevitable future crossover with the Alien franchise? Because that's clearly where we're going. And are you excited to see more of Deck and Thea? Let me know all that down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new, and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.